talking about?
Lonnie McFadden, what's up, man? Good to see you.
Life is good.
I like it. So, Count Basie, the 90th celebration of this monumental piece of Kansas City history. The orchestra's coming. There's going to be an after party from 10 to 1 at your wonderful club. What
Come
does
on.
what does this mean, man?
This means everything. I mean, this is kind of surreal for me because I grew up listening to Count Basie my whole life. My father was a good friend of his. So I heard so many stories about the original Reno club and I don't really know where to file this, because now that there's a place named after me that pays homage to the original Reno club where Count Basie got discovered. I I'm I'm honored and it just I don't know, it feels great, man. It's like I feel like I'm repeating part of history that my father had something to do with. I mean, the first time that Ronald and I tap danced on 18th and Vine was in front of the Count Basie Orchestra.
Wow.
Frank Foster was running the band. This was in like 1986, I want to say maybe 85,
Okay.
85, 86, something like that. But but I have a long history back kind of with Count Basie through my father.
Yeah, yeah. So, the thing about Count is that the world knows him. And I just talked to Scotty, the director of the orchestra, and he was talking about
Oh,
going to Japan and going all over the world. And here's this cat that really got his tentacles here in Kansas City. It's
yeah,
grown into this sound, this outfit that still wins Grammys, that's all over the world. And now
yeah.
we're coming back to Kansas City to christen it. So, on that whole timeline lineage, you're at the Reno Club. He's coming in. And as you know, Kansas City is just as vibrant as ever right now. It has to feel
Yes.
good to be a part of this historical piece celebrating the Count.
Like I said, it's an honor. I mean, if anybody deserves to be celebrated, it's Count Basie. And if it's anybody that this city should wrap their arms around and be proud of, is Count Basie. The, the Kansas City sound probably wouldn't be alive still had it not been for Count Basie's band continuing to carry on that legacy because Scotty's doing a great job, as did Frank Foster and then Thad Jones before him, as far as keeping the DNA authentic. It
Yeah.
still sounds like the Count Basie Orchestra. I mean, it's great. So I'm excited because that's the Kansas City sound, no doubt about it. There's no question about it. When you go back to the beginnings of the Count Basie, Kansas City jazz, you're talking about Benny Moten,
Yeah.
and Count Basie played piano in that band. So I mean, it gets no more authentic than Count Basie.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that that they invited me to be part of it. So yeah, that's where I feel about it.
And the beauty of this whole thing is, and it's emblematic of jazz, is that this lineage and this fire keeps getting the torch gets passed on. And
Yes.
what you do on stage is infectious and it gets you moving. And that's what Count does. So I'm curious, how much of what Count did and these cats that like brought Kansas City to the forefront, how much of that is in your DNA every night you're on stage?
Everything I do has a connection to what they did. I mean, I can't remember not hearing Count Basie records. I mean, the first trumpet players I was introduced to with by my father through records was Louis Armstrong and Snooky Young playing with Count Basie. And so that style is still engraved in the way that I think. And as far as Count Basie, the way they swing, this like it I remember when Ronald and I first went to New York and we were getting ready to be in the play Black and Blue. We were in rehearsal and we met Frankie Manning, one of the original uh, Lindy Hoppers, one of the
Yeah.
original Lindy Hoppers. He was doing part of the choreography. When we introduced ourselves and we said Kansas City, the first thing he says, Kansas City, man, Count Basie. Count Basie would make you dance. And then he recounted that great jam session that took place between Count Basie and the drummer. Oh God, it's Savoy at the Savoy Ballroom. Uh, oh, my brain is going. But anyway,
Yeah,
when Count Basie got introduced in New York at this great battle of bands, and Count Basie made such a statement that everybody after that one night knew who the King of Swing was,
yeah,
and that was from it. It always was Count Basie. I mean, back to the days when he started the band at the Reno Club with him and Papa Joe Jones and Freddie Green and Walter Page. That was the premier rhythm section of what jazz that represented the whole sound of jazz for years. Every year in Downbeat Poe,
yeah.
that was the rhythm section. That that's the pulse. That was the pulse of jazz, and it's still the way jazz is played, basically.
So, as an ambassador of live music and jazz in Kansas City, talk to me a little bit about how important it would be for people in this town to fill those seats in the music hall to watch this orchestra celebrate and to come to your club and to be a part of that on International Jazz Day. Why is it important, you think, for people to do that?
This is like being a part of history. This is like uh, my generation and all of us that are alive now, we weren't here when the historic jam session that happened at uh at the Reno Club where Joe Jones gone Charlie Parker. We weren't alive for that. We
Yeah,
were not alive when the great cutting session that happened here in Kansas City that was instigated because of some guys that told Lester Young while he was on the bandstand at the Reno Club with Count Basie, told him that Hawk is in town and so he got up and then so the rest is history. It's something we've all read about, we've studied about. For for them to celebrate 90 years here is historic. It's being a part of history. It's being able to say, I was there. It's it's like when people come up to me now and we play at the Reno Club and they'll come up to me, man, when I was a kid, I remember hearing Count Basie at Crown Center at a free concert.
yeah,
And I was there. I remember that. I remember the first time I met Count Basie. I was like 14 years old. He was playing in Parade Park in my neighborhood. The band was. And my father and him, anyway, it's that's a whole nother story.
sure.
But to to there's no way I can overstate how important this is to our city and how cool it's going to be for young people 20 years from now to be able to say, I was at that celebration when they came back to Kansas City to celebrate 90 years of continuing the tradition that started with Count Basie and Benny Moten here in Kansas City.
Yeah. You know, the amazing thing about your club is this came about during the pandemic, a time when everything was uncertain, and you're soaring. And I've seen it. It's one of the best shows I've ever seen in my life.
Thank
I'm
you.
not, and this isn't lip service. You are a stellar, like, ambassador for not only jazz but for this town. How good do you feel about Kansas City in 2025? What you're doing and what this city's doing for jazz internationally?
I'm excited. I'm totally excited. Now that well, as you see, I got this nice accessory that I'm wearing because I
Yeah,
have my shoulder. I had a rotator cuff surgery. I let you know that because when I found out that I was going to have the surgery, I thought, oh my God, this gives me a great opportunity to showcase some of the young, great talent here. Chalice O'Neal, Houston Smith,
yeah,
and tonight, Clint Ashlock. I say young because all of these guys are way younger than me. Yeah, Dr. Todd Wilkinson. And my daughter's there every Saturday now for the whole month of women's history month.
yeah,
She's been there every Saturday. And so for me, this whole era that I'm living in, I've told Chalice and Houston and Clint, all these young guys, Mark Lowry, I'm just glad I haven't been kicked out of the pasture because it's so much unbelievable young talent here now. I mean, I I I just named five people, but it's
yeah,
so many, and so the jazz scene now, the young people Eddie Moore, Jalen Ward. It's so many that are taking what I'm like a torch carrier. I'm like one of the guys that's passing on what Basie and Benny Moten and Charlie Parker did to the younger guys, and they are taking it to a whole different level. I mean, it's amazing to me. The jazz scene right now in Kansas City, second to none.
Absolutely.
I'm just excited. You caught me at the end of my rehearsal, so I mean, I'm like in between rehearsing, and then I got to go eat and shave and get ready for my gig tonight.
Totally.
But I mean, Basie, man, that's about as Kansas City as barbecue. Actually, it's more Kansas City than barbecue, because if you trace the roots of Kansas City barbecue, it doesn't go back to the 1920s.
Yeah.
With Count Basie and Benny Moten, all of that. That's about as Kansas City as it gets. There's nothing more Kansas City than Count Basie.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Absolutely authentic, just like you are, Lonnie. It's so good to catch up with you. Thank you for talking about it. And have a blast that day, man.
You too.
You're
Let's
welcome.
go.
Take care, man.